health and peace and happiness for everyone. Ashreinu, how good and beautiful is our heritage. The beauty of that heritage is what we are going to speak about today in honor of Chag HaShavuot, Chag Matan Torah, Tafshin Pei Bet. How should we celebrate our Chagim in general, and specifically Matan Torah? Should a Chag, be it Pesach or Sukkot, or Rosh Hashanah or Shavuot, should we celebrate it spiritually? More tefillah, more Torah? Should we dedicate the day to spirituality? Or should we celebrate with seudot, with meals, with the family, in a more materialistic way? This question is discussed by Tanaim in a few places in the Gemara, and in one of those places in Masechet Pesachim, after arguing about this issue, one of the Tanaim, Rabbi Elazar, says, on Shavuot, because it is the day of Matan Torah, certainly we should, make it a spiritual day full of Torah? He says we should have meals, we should have food, we should celebrate by eating on Shavuot because it's the day of Matan Torah. Why? Because it's Matan Torah, we should celebrate with food. Later on, in the same place in the Gemara, one of the Amoraim, Rav Yosef, says, I celebrate Shavuot with joy. I make the best meal of the year because if it wasn't for Torah, Kama Yosef Ika Beshuka. There are so many Yosefs around. I would just be another Joe, another Yosef. Because of Torah, I got something special. My life has been enriched. Shavuot is an opportunity to look at the question of how does Torah bring a blessing to our lives? And by putting together the spirituality and the material aspects of our lives, that is one of the blessings that the Torah brings us. Spirituality makes sure that our physical, materialistic lives don't become vulgar, something which is grotesque. Leaving our lives within a material framework, not trying to disconnect from the material and humanistic world, but bringing a certain refinement to our lives, bringing a spiritual blessing into our human and materialistic lives, makes sure that the physical aspect doesn't become grotesque and vulgar, and the spiritual aspect doesn't become disconnected from planet Earth and then become irrelevant to everyone in the world. So Torah has the quality, the ability that these two bring a blessing to one another. The physical becomes a blessing for the spiritual, and the spiritual becomes a blessing for the physical. This is one of the blessings, one of the gifts, one of the enrichments that we get from the Torah, and this is part of our celebration. On the one hand, we're a Michigan nation. We stay up all night with people running around town looking for different shiurim, looking for another hour of Torah. I think it's totally abnormal. Well, we're not meant to be normal. It's beautiful. And on the other hand, we celebrate Shavuot with a meal, sitting around the table with the family, and we put the two together. This is one of the aspects of the beauty, of the enrichment that Torah brings to our lives. And food for thought. What other aspects do you see that the Torah brings a blessing and enrichment into your lives? Here is some issue to think about and to discuss with your family around the food at the table on Shavuot. Chag Sameach.